Okay, welcome. I'm Liz Fenton, and I'm here with Lisa Steinke. We are best friends of over 30 years and co-authors of 7 novels. Our 7th novel, How to Save a Life, comes out this July 14th. We finally have put it in the background of you can see it in the background of both of our squares. And it is available for pre-order through Warwick'S. If you pre-order it through Warwick'S, you actually can get a personalized signed copy. So Julie, who I'm going to introduce in just a sec from Warwick'S, will put the pre-order link in the chat. But if you put in the notes there, we will personalize a copy for you. And you can order our entire backlist from Warwick'S as well. So Julie, I'm going to segue over to you with that.
Okay. Excellent. Well, welcome everybody. And thank you all for coming out again for one of our couch surfing book tours. Wendy, welcome to Warwick'S and the couch surfing book tour. I always say we could not have done this without Liz and Lisa. You guys have been tremendous in getting this going for us, and it's just been so much fun. And all you ladies out there that are ladies, I don't think we have a gentleman today. We might, I don't know. But thank you guys for joining us. Yeah, thank you for joining us. It really is, it's so wonderful to help authors promote their books during this time that is so odd for all of us. So you're coming in and taking your time to be with us. We really appreciate it. A couple quick things, and then I'll put it off to the ladies. You can order, I'll put the links in for both of the books here. And then you can order them online. You can call us. Warwick'S is actually open now. If you're in San Diego and you're in the La Jolla area, we're actually open now for browsing, safe distancing, masks, the whole 9 yards. But we still appreciate your online orders too. So spread the word that you can order online from us. And without further ado, off to you guys. Have a great conversation.
Thanks, Julie, and thank you again, Warwick'S, for being our partner with the Couch Surfing Book Tour. So I'd like to introduce Wendy Francis, who we are thrilled to have with us today. She is the author of the novels Best Behavior, The Summer Sale, The Summer of Good Intentions, and 3 Good Things. She grew up in the Midwest and moved east for high school and college. After graduating from Harvard, she attended law school for a brief stint before realizing that she was more interested in rewriting cases than studying case law. She went to work at Houghton Mifflin Harcourt and Da Capo Press for nearly 15 years as a book editor. Her latest book, Best Behavior, was published on May 5th. So Lisa, I'm gonna pass it to you to put her on the hot seat with all the questions.
Ooh, get ready for my hard-hitting questions. You're welcome. Author Jamie Brenner had this to say about Best Behavior. With warmth and humor, Best Behavior delivers a delicious family drama. Look no further for your perfect poolside read. Can you tell us what it's about?
Well, first off, thank you so much to you guys, Liz and Lisa, for hosting me, and to Warwick'S. It's so great to be talking with other booksellers and people who are publishing books and who are following books. You know, it's such a weird time to be publishing. So I really appreciate your having me on and chatting with me a bit. And yeah, so in a nutshell, Best Behavior, I have it here, if you can see it, is about basically a messy, big, extended blended family that comes together for a college graduation weekend. And at its center is Meredith, the mom, who is closing in on 50 and whose 2 babies, grown now, are about to graduate from college. They're twins. And they're graduating from a fictitious New England college called Bolton. And she's sort of a tangle of emotions. She's excited, she's proud, she's happy of her kids, but it's also a bittersweet moment because, of course, her kids are graduating and she's having some serious empty nesting pangs. Add to that, on top of it, she's going to be spending a lot of time at different functions and award ceremonies with her ex-husband Roger, who's a hotshot Boston lawyer, and she was remarried to a young woman just 6 months ago, Lily, who is 20 years younger than he is, and of course impossibly gorgeous and annoying and all those things. So that's kind of it in a nutshell, and all the egos and passions and secrets that collide over the weekend. It all kind of comes to a head at the end.
So it takes place over one weekend.
It takes place over one long weekend.
I love that. That's awesome. Your books have common themes. the complexity of family relationships, the bonds between sisters and friends, the drama. Is there a reason you gravitate toward writing about these types of issues?
Well, they're also ripe with potential for drama, right?
Right.
Also pressure cooker situations. I think I've always been drawn to writing about families and friendships, especially women's friendships. All my books seem to gravitate back towards those things, and it's, I think, the kind of fiction I enjoy reading too. And so that's it's interesting. I think that I always think of my characters first, and before I actually flesh out what the story and the plot is going to be. And I think some people it's the reverse, or they know. I'd be interested to hear how you two do it with both of you working on the same book. But the characters for me kind of help to lead the story, and even though I have sort of a rough idea of what the arc of that narrative is going to be, I know those characters and those personalities. And so I think for this book in particular, I was interested. I've always wanted to write a book about a college graduation weekend. Little did I know that there would be no college graduation this year. But I thought that was such a wonderful, sort of like a summer wedding, a college graduation is such a wonderful celebratory time that's fueled with all sorts of emotions. So that had always been in the back of my mind. And then, like Meredith, I was kind of closing in on 50, as were some of my girlfriends. So we were talking about empty nester feelings. And I've got 2 kids, stepkids who are in college, and then an 11-year-old. So all those things were sort of going through my mind at the time when I started this book. And then I think too, I just was very interested in the idea of the changing American family. I think, we're no longer the 50s mom and pop family. There's so many wonderful incarnations now, whether it's, a blended family, you have 2 moms, 2 dads, it's an adopted family. I just thought it was worth exploring, both the challenges and the wonderful things about this particular family in the book.
So you think of this idea, you want to write about a college graduation that takes place over one weekend. And so do you sit down and think, what characters do I want to be in this story? Or do you think, how do I want this story to play out? You kind of mentioned you picked the characters first. So if you can tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. So I think for this one, I knew Meredith's character. I knew that it was going to be mostly, mainly from the point of view of the mom, who is having sort of mixed emotions about the weekend. And then I wanted to include Joel, who is her new husband, although they've been married for, I don't remember how many years, but it's been at least 7, I think. So I wanted to have his point of view. And then the children kind of worked their way in, the twins. And then Lily, I had sort of thought about, she's the new wife of Roger. I knew I didn't want to go into Roger's head, but I thought that Lily would be sort of an interesting character, and I wanted to make her sympathetic. I thought she was more challenging to be sympathetic, and I thought I kind of needed to go into her head to give a full sort of picture of the family diorama. But how do you all do it? I'm curious to know when you're writing for the 2 of you.
Yeah, I think Liz can chime in obviously, but I think it depends on, for us, what the story is. I think when we might be reversed. I think we come up with our plot, and then we figure out who are the people.
Great plot, by the way.
Thank you. And we come up with who are our people, and then we actually more discover who our people are as we're writing. I know some people like, do you do like a character description? I mean, how into it do you get? Or is it just in your head?
Yeah, I usually will do like a few pages of notes on different characters, sort of what they love, what they hate, just to try
like what kind of music they listen to and stuff like that.
I don't get that detailed, because I wish I knew, but yeah, no, I don't get that detailed. But I think what's most interesting to me is I have a general concept of these characters, but like for you guys, I guess they kind of take on new life as you actually get into their heads. And one character in this book, who I'm so glad I ended up including because so many readers have commented on her, is Carol. the mother, or Joel's mother-in-law, who comes along, the kid's grandmother. And she just always seemed to have this arch comment to say, you know, at the right time, and was thinking what probably everybody is thinking, but nobody wants to say. And so she sort of wormed her way into the storyline, and I was glad that she did, but she wasn't in the original draft. She sort of came along.
Sometimes those secondary characters end up being really the heart of the book. And I know in a couple books that we've written, someone that we just started off as like an assistant or something like that ends up playing this really pivotal role, and it's kind of fun. Those are always like my favorite characters.
They surprise you.
Mine too. Yeah. Since we're always sort of like mesmerized by the authors that, okay, this is my character and she works here and she does this in her free time and she reads these kind of books. Like I think we're just more like fly by the seat of our pants, because we really don't, I think you could even put all of that down, and then as you're writing, I don't know that it would even stay on track.
Yeah.
Or maybe that's just my way of not having to do it.
No, I think that's absolutely, it's the same way for me. I work in generalities. I have general ideas. I hear the voices of characters in my head, and the scenery. I always kind of know what my setting is going to be. That's as important to me in some ways as the characters are. And so, and again, I think I'm just drawn to books that have a wonderful sense of place. And so for me, I always know where the book is going to be set. I knew this book, Best Behavior, was going to be set on a New England college campus, and near, you know, have easy access to beaches that are up by Manchester by the Sea, where there are all these beautiful homes and mansions. And so, of course, that's where Roger has moved to start his second life. So that was very much a part of it too, and I was thinking about it.
Lisa, there's a question from the audience.
Okay.
Do you mind if I?
I don't. They're always better than mine. So.
Well, they're always very good, but you write very good questions. Okay, so Susan Hoffman is asking, what does turning 50 mean to you, and what does it mean to the main character?
See?
Wow. How long do we have? You know, it's funny. At first, I feel as though I kind of got into motherhood late. I have an 11-year-old, and so I'm surrounded by a lot of younger mom friends who, you know, are saying, "Oh, I'm just about to turn 40," and I try to be sympathetic, but I said, "Really, you're just a baby. You know, 40's nothing." But I think for me, it was a whole mix of emotions, and that, you know, you hear that age, you think 50, oh my word, I remember my parents being 50. They were really old, and so that must make me old. And yet I have an 11-year-old, and then I have, you know, 2 kids who are in college. So I still feel as though I have to have the energy that a 30-year-old mom has to have. Or, you know, I'm still playing floor hockey with my kid, and when he's not embarrassed to be seen with me, I'll shoot basketballs with him. You know, it's still all consuming. So in some ways, I think it's great because it keeps me busy and it keeps me engaged. So I haven't really had that midlife crisis yet where I think, oh my gosh, what's next? Because I still feel really wrapped up in family life, and there's still so much to do and to look forward to. And so even though my stepdaughter was supposed to graduate from college this May, she's now waiting on a virtual kind of graduation thing, and hopefully they'll get a real one in the fall. So, you know, for that, those are milestones, and certainly that's incredible to me because I got to see them really grow up as kids, and so that's very moving, and you're so proud of your kids, you know, but you also, it's exciting because you want to see them go forth into the world and see what they do. And I think I was even saying to my stepson the other day that, you know, it's so nice, it's so pleasant to be around him now because he's kind of gone through like the tough teenage years, and now he's in college, and we have these interesting dinner conversations. And I mean, there's still, you know, there's still ups and downs, of course, as there are in every family, but it's neat to have seen how the kids have grown into their own people. And I think for me, turning 50 is just sort of realizing that, wow, you know, it's all these kids, all our kids are in different kind of life stages, but it's really fun to be witnessing all of that. And for the second part of that question, how does that influence Meredith? I think that's an interesting question. I think, you know, she's very bittersweet about it. And I think I was channeling maybe some of my girlfriends' emotions into that, both friends whose kids were about to leave for college, and who were, you know, just about to graduate from college.
Well, you look amazing. I actually
was
can't
gonna
believe
say,
you're
have you gotten there yet? I mean, how many more years till you get there?
You're too kind.
And your teeth are really white, girl. You have nice teeth.
Thank
I just
you.
have to say that too.
I think it's just the lighting.
No, they're beautiful.
Aw,
They are.
thank you. Very kind.
Are we back to me, or do you have another one?
Back to you, girl.
Woo! Okay. Well, I wanted to talk about the title. I really love it.
Oh,
It's
good.
I think it's a kind of title, and you look at it and you just want to pick up the book and figure out what it's about. And so, curious how that title came to be. Was it always the title, or did the title change?
Yes. I don't know about you all, but some of the books, like my very first book, Three Good Things, that was the title that I turned the manuscript in with. It was from the beginning, and it was the title at the end, Three Good Things. Summer of Good Intentions, there was a ton of back and forth on that, and we decided on that finally. Summer Sale, there was some back and forth on that. And then this one, I don't know why, it took forever. And I think part of it was that, you know, the title that I had gone in with originally, I really did like. But I think that Graydon House, and rightly so, felt that it didn't kind of capture the whole family drama angle of it. I think I can tell you, it was originally called The Graduates, which I wanted to
I like that.
play on, you know, that everyone was graduating in some shape or form. But I think the feeling was that the focus would be too much on the college graduation and not sort of the behavior. And we wanted something that had a wink to it. And so there were tons and tons of titles that we went back and forth on, but finally we got to Best Behavior, and that one I thought really sort of captured it, because everyone wants to be on their best behavior at these functions at college graduation, and yet it has that wink of, like, you know, there's going to be plenty of bad behavior if you're calling it.
Yeah, that's why I would be drawn to that, because I would feel like,
Yeah.
and then I would read the description. Oh, this is going to be juicy.
Yeah.
And the covers, like your covers all scream summer. You know, you know kind of what you're gonna get when you pick it up. How much input do you have in those? I'm always curious. Ask authors this.
I know, and I'm trying to think for this one. So I saw maybe one or two, and the first one. You know, I think generally we try to give some idea, right, as authors, what we're thinking or what would be nice, but I never want to give too much direction, because I feel like the designers are artists and they always come up with something amazing that I would never think of. And I don't want to, you know, to step on their toes at all. So the first one, though, it was very summery. It was, you know, an ocean scene. It was people frolicking in the water. It was beautiful. It was gorgeous. But we had worked so hard to come up with this title, Best Behavior, that it didn't seem to really fit anymore, because it was college graduates, and I don't know, somehow there seemed to be a disconnect. So we said, okay, well, maybe let's go back and see if we can get something closer that sort of encaptures the graduation party, or, you know, that sense of community and family. And I ended up loving what they came back with. So
show it to everyone again. It's a great cover.
Lights.
Yeah,
it's beautiful.
Yeah.
I want to be there right now.
I know. See, that's the thing about all your books. You pick it up and you're like, oh, this is this is summer.
That's where you want to be, right?
Yeah.
I know. We can only all get back there soon.
I know, right?
Yeah.
So I'm really curious about this. You're a former book editor. So what is that like now to be on the other side?
Yeah, well, I think it's both a good and bad thing. I think that, you know, when I first started writing, my son was just a baby, and I thought, well, now will be as good a time as any to try it. But you go into it and you think, I sort of had to, whatever side of the brain it is you use for editing, it's the other side, I think. And so to be able to create something, you have to be able to let yourself kind of write, even though you know it's not any good, and just to get the story out. And I found when I was first writing that I would try to edit everything as soon as I wrote it, and I was getting nothing done. So so I've learned that, you know, you kind of have to just let yourself tell the story, and then you can go back and edit it. And so that's been useful. I think the most useful part, though, is being an editor. I know all the different departments, and that you have to work, you know, that there are all these amazing departments, and I would have never known publicity and marketing and sales and what do all these different people do, and, you know, all these different hats. And so that helped to really give me an understanding of the process, I think, which has been hugely helpful. So, and I will say too that, you know, every editor I've only had two, and they're both been wonderful, and they always see things that I would never, that it just takes another set of eyes.
Right.
You know,
We're going to have a Zoom, we're having a Zoom tomorrow with our editor, and she's written fiction, and then now she's written a book about editing, but it's so, you know, we write what we think is the best book in the entire world.
Right.
And then we give it to her, and she sends this amazing editorial letter that, I mean, it's amazing because of what she sees that the book can be. She's always like, I think what you were the story you were trying to tell is this. But if you were trying to tell this other one, then this. And so she's very like detailed, but it's just so interesting to think of what that, she just comes in and she can like figure it out. And so for you, when you get your editorial letter, what's that like?
So it's good. Hold on one second. I'm just going to move this fan because it is hot up here.
Yeah. It's hot here too.
I wasn't expecting to be warm in Boston. So usually it comes in, I'm trying to think. Do you do old fashioned? Do you get like the marked up manuscript and the letter on top?
No, no, just a very long, single spaced letter.
Yeah. So I'm trying. Mine's mostly the same way. I get a letter, but then I still ask for like the old. I think because that's how I did it, like the old fashioned. I need to see the pencil and the paper, and somehow I know it's much more efficient to do it with the comments in the margins on the computer.
Yeah, that's how she does it.
Yeah. And I think that makes complete sense. But for me, I still like the old fashioned way where you can see like the little question marks, you know?
And the little like editor, Liz and I at Simon & Schuster, we were with them for our first 3 books, and our editor did it that way. And sometimes I would have to look up what some of her little like editorial marks meant. Did you ever have to do that, Liz? Like what's like I would have to Google what's the like squiggly thing over the
Plus she had horrible handwriting.
She really did. So then you couldn't read.
It was our first book deal, and so we didn't want to say anything. So just figured it out.
That's not helpful if you can't read the handwriting. No, but I think it helps even just to have like those little question marks, like how about, or what did you mean here, or you know, just points of clarification. But somehow it feels a little nicer or gentler, or I don't know. It's you know, but I do find that they've been great about sort of saying, I think this needs something more, or I think you get to the end of the chapter and there aren't a lot of marks, and you're thinking, oh, this is great, and then you get to, I think this chapter drags a little in the end, or you know, something, and they think, oh, I gotta. So it's never. They're never like those easy fixes where you just think, oh, I'll change this paragraph around, but so.
Well, our editor's favorite, and Lisa, I have a question for her in a second that I think goes with this, but our editor's favorite thing to say is, let us in, like to the, you know, the character's head. Or what's the other one, Lisa? There's one other thing she always says. It's like,
I should know this for when we talk to her tomorrow night, because I should have it like imprinted in my brain.
Well, we'll have to go back.
Yeah,
to
we'll
our
have to
notes.
think about it, but it's something that when we're writing, we're always like, oh, she's going to say this.
Right.
So let's anticipate it. And then we still don't do enough of it.
Yeah.
She's still always like, let us in.
Right.
More.
Yeah. And the Zoom we're having with her tomorrow is a public one. Actually, if there's any aspiring writers on this call, or you just want to understand the writing process, it's going to be us and Camille Pagan and Rochelle Weinstein, who were all edited by her, just talking about how to put a novel together. So if any of you are interested, on our event page, it's at 4 p.m. tomorrow. A little plug, but also I do have a question too. Okay. Susan Hoffman is on fire. She's got another great question. Now she's asking, what happens when you don't want to make a change that an editor recommends? How do you choose what you want to fight for?
Another great question. You know, I'm trying to think, there haven't been that many times when I've really disagreed. I think the things I get more passionate and worked up about are the title and the cover, and making sure that that package is exactly right. Editorial wise, you know, I guess there are times where I'll say, well, no, because usually if I can call upon my own experience and say, well, actually, this is how it happened, or this is how someone feels going through this, I think that gives you a little more leeway to make your case, I guess. And you know, I don't know that there's anything that's been huge in terms of rearranging chapters or characters or anything where I've had such a strong disagreement that it's gotten ugly or I haven't known how to broach it. And generally I find, you know, editors they tend to be, I don't know, I think they're gentle and cautious, and if they feel strongly about something, you know that too, and you know to take that probably pretty seriously too, because it is a fresh set of eyes, and I find that helpful. You know, sometimes they'll pick up on things that never even occurred to me, and I'll go back and look at it and think, oh my gosh, they're absolutely right. You know, that wasn't making sense, or these things didn't add up. So
I totally agree. I think that, I mean, they're professionals, and there's a reason why you choose to work with them, and everybody wants the best. And it's not like you have a lot of cooks in the kitchen. You just got one cook. Like the one cook in the kitchen's like, hey, there's not enough salt. And you're like, you know, like, so we're the same way. I mean, it's rare. Exactly. It's rare that we've pushed back, because they really do know what they're doing.
Mm-hmm. And you would know that from both sides now, which is still fascinates me to no end.
Right.
That you've been on the other side.
Well, when I was an editor, of course, I thought I was always right. But now that I'm on the other side, I see that, oh no. And I was relatively young as an editor. You know, I was in my 20s and early 30s, and I remember sort of thinking, because people's initial reaction is, oh, you're only 20 something, and I was working with, you know, some established older authors, and that is so, you know, as a young upstart, you don't want to hear that. I'm like, well, yeah, but I know what I'm doing, you know, so trust me. And then I look back and think, oh my gosh, I had no idea what I was doing, and they were so right to be, you know, to question what I said, and you know, I had some idea, but I didn't have the experience, you know, the life experience that you have, and that builds and that helps you to understand families and relationships and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, I think you need that life experience to inform your editing a bit as well. So they were right to question some of my even though I can be very headstrong. So, yeah, I think I've mellowed over the years.
I think we probably all have.
Yeah,
for sure. I think so back to my 20. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just curious. So can I ask if your jacket, because it's gorgeous and I like the title too, was that the original package? And can you talk about that or not?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We can. Yeah. For How to Save a Life, back here, just on display. Yeah. Oh, there it is. I didn't even know. Yeah. The title was always the title. I think from the very beginning, right, Liz? Like I don't remember
Well, what
having
happened
something
was,
else.
yeah, we wanted, it's a Groundhog Day premise, and we wanted the character to wake up to the same song every day. We wanted to be a song that meant something to him from 10 years prior. So Lisa looked up all the popular songs from that time, and one of them was the phrase "How to Save a Life," which plays a prominent role in the book. So we had already started writing it. I think we were just a couple of chapters
That's
in,
what
and we saw that, and it was like boom.
Perfect.
Yeah, and with the cover, Lisa, I'll let you tell that, but that was a very easy process.
Yeah, every day he's waking up to the same day, and he's trying to save the life of the woman he loves. So it ties in that way. The cover, we knew we wanted some kind of amusement park, because there's a big part of the book that takes place at the a fair that takes place here in San Diego. And so we knew we wanted something with amusement park ride, or maybe a Ferris wheel. And we just told our editor, and she conveyed that, and we got three or four really great options, like right out of the gate. Like I think it was one of our best. You know, when so how it works for those of you who aren't authors is you'll kind of give them some guidance, or and then they'll come back with several options, and you open that email and it's like, oh, I hope I'm gonna,
Right.
And sometimes the options are not there, and sometimes there's too many good ones, and that's what happened here. Although Liz was like really gravitated toward this one, and I initially gravitated toward one that was more like our other covers. And I think that is kind of different, and I'm glad it's different for a number of reasons, because we're kind of changing genres a little bit, and so it fits more. And so I'm really glad that Liz is like, this is the one. And then I didn't tell my husband, and I showed him, and he said, everyone was picking this one except me, but now I love it. So
yeah. Now it's the only cover you could have had, right? I mean, it's
right.
You're right.
Yeah.
Now it seems impossible to think I remember that other cover, and it wouldn't work. You get so used to one. So yeah. Thanks for asking.
Yeah,
do I have time for another
yeah, sure. Okay. Go for it.
So I'm curious. I know this is a question that you probably get asked a lot, but I am always interested in hearing the answer. Sorry, my daughter's screaming in the background. I'm always curious about the writing process. Like, what does a typical day look like for you? Do you have any quirks? Do you write to music? Does it have to be silent? Just any details.
Well, I'm
going to shut my door.
Yeah, I think, during quarantine, there are no routines, or I don't know about you all, but it's been impossible to write, because homeschooling an 11-year-old is no joke. I mean, it's all consuming. So even with the Zoom classrooms and stuff like that, I just find my days are spent, finding things to do, or making sure he's getting his work done. So, and I think I'm too distracted to really focus. But I need to get back to it eventually. I need to do edits for my next book for next summer. So, but when school is in session, those are usually my writing hours, and I try to write from 8:30 in the morning till about 1 or 2, I guess. When I pick them up, and off we go to hockey practice or whatever, else is going on. So, it's funny. I always think like, oh, someday I'll be able to sit in my, my attic office and just write uninterrupted, and but I don't think I'd be productive that way either. I think I would sit there and stare at the computer a lot, and it's, in some ways I need to have that chaos going around me too, or to know that it's gonna, and come back into my life at any moment. So I know I only have till 1 o'clock to write, so I better get something done.
Yeah,
but
it's almost harder when you don't. I think it would be harder to sit in that attic with knowing you have all day, every day, nothing's going to interrupt. I think it's for me anyway, knowing that I only have this window of time makes me more productive, for sure.
Are you writing when your daughter's in school, or I don't know how?
Yeah, we kind of have a similar story. It sounds like I have 2-step children. One's in college and one's a senior in high school. So she's my stepdaughter's a freshman at San Diego State, and she had to move home. She had to leave the college, and then I have a 9-year-old.
So it is.
It's when you were talking, I'm like, yeah, I can totally relate. And so I became a mom later too. And so yeah, that was the one that just opened my door, a 9-year-old.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Same idea. You got to get it all in while they're in school. Yep.
Yeah, for sure. So your book's a summer read. And so what other summer reads would you recommend?
It's funny you ask, because when quarantine started, I couldn't pick up a book. I couldn't even focus on it. And that's my one escape, is to always be able to pick up a book. And something about it, I couldn't get back into it, but I finally did. And I picked up the book that got me into it. Isn't exactly a summer read, but I picked up Olive again by Elizabeth Strout, which is so wonderful. And I think just hearing crotchety Olive again, I was like, okay, I'm allowed to be crotchety and in a bad mood because we're stuck in the house and, school's been canceled for who knows how long. And so that got me back into it. And now I think I've been reading a lot of your usual suspects, but Mary Kate Andrews, Hello Summer, I just started. It's wonderful. Just, turn the pages. And Christy Woodson Harvey's
love her.
Like Falling, Waiting on Ellen Hildebrand. Nancy Thayer's got a new book out. Everyone's been reading. I haven't read yet All Adults Here, Emma Straub's book yet, or Jennifer Weiner's, but those are also big candidates. So all the ones that can sort of transport you to the beach and make you feel the salt air, those are the ones that I tend to gravitate toward, I think, in the summertime.
And I think a lot of people are gravitating toward that just right now anyway. I think it's just, I know I am. I just read Beach Read.
Oh, yes.
Which was really good. And those are the kind of things I'm looking for right now. So I can relate.
Yeah.
Well, we're so happy you could join us today. Really quick, I'm going to have you give us everywhere that we can find you online, but I want to just remind everybody, we've got a great week coming up next week. On Monday at 5 p.m., not 4 p.m., but 5 p.m., we have Britt Bennett here. And then on the next day, Tuesday, noon, and so it's at noon. I mean, we're kind of crazy next week. We're a little off schedule. We have Frances Mays, and I'm going to butcher, you guys know who get on this regular, I'm going to butcher this name, Odine Cohane. Julie, you might have, I think, and they have a new travel book out, and Frances May is the author of Under the Tuscan Sun, which is one of my favorite novels. So that's next week. I just wanted to make the announcement before any of you hop off, because we've got different times. So Mondays at 5 o'clock, Tuesdays at noon. Okay, everybody? You got
That's Pacific Standard Time.
Right.
PST. You're welcome.
PST. So, yeah, because we're in the PST over here. So anyway, but Wendy, tell us where we can find you online.
Sure. So let's see. I'm Wendy Francis, author on Facebook, and that's my website, wendyfrancisauthor.com. And then I'm horrible at these things. On Twitter, I'm Wendy Francis 4. That's the only one that's different. And then Instagram, I'm Wendy Francis Author, I think.
Oh, and
yeah, you are. You are. That's what you are on Instagram. I looked you up today.
And we've got one more question. I think it's important to answer. Holly Phillips is asking. She wants to know which one of your books that she should start with.
Oh, that's so sweet. Gosh, they're not. None of the characters are related. I mean, it's not sort of a series, so you could feel free to. Summer of Good Intentions is probably one of my favorites out of all of them, just because it is set on Cape Cod, which has a special place in my heart. I love that place for summertime getaways. So, and that's another family saga. So I suppose if you wanted to read, a family saga, you could start there, and then Best Behavior for a fun college sort of, but also summer beachy read. But thank you for asking.
Awesome.
It's great.
And then Susan Hoffman is saying that we're awesome and she's enjoying this. And she works at a college library and is starting a book club for staff, students, and faculty on Zoom this summer. And she's learning about new books, including yours. And she's thanking you for being here.
That would be perfect for a college book club.
Yeah, thank you, Susan, for being here. We
Thank
really
you.
appreciate each and every one of you. You can find Lisa and I on Instagram at Lisa and Liz, and on Facebook at Liz Fenton and Lisa Steinke. You can find all of the events coming up at lizandlisa.com on the events tab, or lizandlisa.com/events. And all the Zoom links are there. And Julie, I'm gonna pass it to you to send us off here.
Okay, I will send you guys off. Thank you, that was so good. That was really a good one, thank you. And Wendy, thank you for coming on with us. And whenever you are here on the West Coast, come and visit. We'll have an in-live.
I definitely want to stop by. I know, I can't wait till we can all travel again and go into bookstores and hold books and, you know, cradle them in our arms.
And all gather. Yeah, because it's one of those things where we all are, I'm so appreciating that we're doing these Zoom things, because it's connecting us with some just fantastic authors that maybe we wouldn't have had a chance to see before. So I'm really happy that you came on with us. So thank you for doing that. Again, you can get, the links are up there for Wendy's, for this book of Wendy's, and you can also order her previous books from us. There's a pre-order link for Liz and Lisa's book that's on the link there. Yeah, next week, first of all, I wanted to comment a little bit about the age. 50, come on, ladies. We're looking at 60 here. So you girls are all youngins.
Too, girl.
You are all youngins out there. I was cracking up at that when I was in the background. I was like, oh, to only be looking at 50 right now. But next week, the reason
40, right?
Exactly, it is. But the reason for Frances May's next week, that the reason it's at noon is because I think it's Ondine is how you say her name, I think.
Fine.
But anyways, you were fine. She's coming to us live from Tuscany. So it's 9 hours difference in Tuscany. So it needed to be at noon. So that's going to be kind of fun to have her on. Come and
sit in her garden in Tuscany?
I hope so.
I hope so. We're going to need to drink Chianti. It'll only be noon here, but I think, but we should.
We should do something, a noon cocktail.
I'm giving us all permission.
I like
Aperol Spritz. I'm going to drink an Aperol Spritz.
There you go.
Oh,
perfect. So we'll have some fun. Well, some fun Zoom stuff. So anyway, so back, I know I was supposed to wrap it up, and then I kept talking more. Sorry.
That's okay. That's okay.
So anyways, thank you all again. It was really great seeing all the ladies out there, and even the ones that didn't want to share their video. I know you're listening to us. And so again, Warwick's is in San Diego. You can come and visit us at the store now, or we ship online too. So thanks you, everybody.
Thanks. We'll see you guys.
Wendy.
Thank you, Wendy.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you guys so much. And thanks everyone for tuning in. Bye.
Yeah. Bye.